originally, what should have happened, what experts were pushing for at the beginning, was to redefine social media sites as publishers, so that they would be responsible for the sort of content that was on their sites, right? So the concerns that were being raised, I would say, by rather inexperienced MPs, where Pornhub is really dangerous and, young people are accessing all of these choking videos, when actually the real danger was on Twitter/X, where content was being served to people apropos of nothing, right? So you'd wake up of a morning and you would see possibly the most graphic sexual content you've ever seen thrust onto your timeline. And then right after that, you would see someone's head being blown off. And many people said that's not very good. Yep. And there should be some sort of control or limit on that. But then rather than go back to these to these social media sites and say, hi, you need to clean up your act, instead, they've put a ban on Pornhub and now on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I think this is part of the sort of problem for any of the tech oligarchs complaining about this, is this legislation is, at least in part, a product of your failure to self-regulate. Time and time again, we've heard that the intention of the legislation is to make the UK the safest place in the world to use the internet. And actually the consequences of that are quite broad, because these tech companies, they have bottom lines. They don't like providing a different product or service in one jurisdiction or in another. So ideally,
because it costs money.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want if you have this app, let's call it Facebook, and the way that it operates, let's say in Latin America, let's say that would fall foul of the Online Safety Act. You're not going to code, develop, build out content moderation teams so that you provide a different product, a different app, a different service in the UK and one in Latin America. It essentially behooves you to build one.
Behooves you, does it?
It behooves you to build something that's compliant with UK legislation, and that's also what you provide to Latin America. That is sort of the strategic way of approaching it. So actually, it's one of the reasons why they're so agitated about it. It's one of the reasons why people in the MAGA movement who are close to Silicon Valley have been angling for the Online Safety Act to feature in the trade talks between America and the US, is because what happens here does have knock-on consequences for those tech companies in other jurisdictions. And obviously as well, legislators in other countries are watching what is happening here. Like genuinely, we are outriders. We are way ahead of other countries in the way that we're legislating in this area, and they are watching to see how it plays out with a view to then possibly implementing it in their own countries. There's a petition now that has more than 300,000 signatures.
What's more embarrassing, doing age verification to watch pornography or signing the petition that says, I shouldn't have to do that?
Yeah.
Let me see tits.
There's a fear here for me, which is, I think people who are digitally literate have minor levels of sort of tech savviness. And we saw this in sort of the Google Trends data. There was like a 1,000% increase in VPN searches on Friday and over the weekend.
Oh yeah, and like the influencers who've got like a code for a VPN.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you see Unidays? It was like the top sell. It was the top code that was being used.
Nice. Yeah, it's so I think one of the things that falls down here is, okay, so who is digitally literate? Digital natives, people who've grown up with this technology, young people. I don't think the teenage boys are going to be the ones who are prevented from accessing porn.
Yeah.
I think it's the digitally illiterate, the bloke who's terrified of his wife finding out, who doesn't know what a VPN is, who like puts in like their shared email address when he's trying to sign up for Pornhub and gets found out. Like I think that is the person who loses out in this scenario.
Do you remember that news article about the couple who, like, on Virgin Media send them a bill for all of those porn films? Of course,
yeah.
And both of them are standing in there being like, we've been charged £800 for porn films.
He's there holding up the bill. Yeah, exactly.
I always thought, to me, I know it was funny to point and say, I bet it was him. I reckon it was her.
Well, it's fucking one of yours.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem for me is like, okay, so you've got these breaches of privacy. I think you give I think you're going to provide like a false sense of kind of safety and protection when people are navigating the online space. But it can be very easily circumvented. So essentially you have all of these negatives, whether it's, data exposure, whether it's the backdoor to end to end-to-end encryption.
Well, a lot of them are going there for the backdoor, aren't they?
There are trade-offs here, but it's also quite easily circumvented. And so I think essentially the people who aren't as digitally literate, aren't as in the know, aren't as tech savvy, but can legally access things like pornography or gambling or whatever it is, their right to access those things is going to be impinged upon.
That's the story I was going to tell. I'll finish it off with this. This is a good one. You're going to like this.
Go on.
MP in the House of Commons, a friend of mine was working for them, and they'd been looking up, they'd been accessing porn on their work laptop. Is it a crime? Possibly. And it's actually really sad. They were looking up big-breasted women. I don't know why. I just thought that was really quaint.
That's like
just quaint, isn't it?
That's like, but that's such. It's almost like childlike search terms.
It was.
Funny story. I won't give any indication of who this is. Was a child, family computer downstairs, back in the age of the family computer, in the office, like small room off from the dining room table, family eating dinner, and what to the adults sat around the table very immediately and clearly sounded like pornography started playing from the office, and the boy in question sort of sits bolt upright and is like, oh, and they go in and it's like a YouTube video. It's not even porn, but it's like some girls making out, and they go and look at the search history. It was about, I think, 6 or 7 at the time, and he'd searched naked bobs, as in boobs, and snogging.
Nice. Nice.
It's funny that was like, someone at primary school.
Yeah.
Same search terms as a fucking MP.
Yeah.
And it gives you a sense of, who do we need to be educating on this stuff?
Would you educate the MP? There's so much more out there, pal. There's so much more. You're at the tip of the iceberg, pal.
Yeah, there's a lot more out there for you, buddy. You've been watching a clip from the Politics Joe podcast. If you'd like to watch the rest, please head to patreon.com/PoliticsJOE. It's the only place you can watch podcast episodes in full for as little as £4 a month. You get access to the video podcast as well as the group chat, and you get first access to live event tickets, the first of which is happening in just over a week's time. We're very excited. It's sold out in 4 minutes. We're very excited to have a beer, have a chat, have a natter with all of you. So we will see you then. £4 a month, patreon.com/PoliticsJOE.